We have another tri-bridge in the house. This one is a highly requested Shuoer's EJ07M, $600. Let's get into it. All right, time to unbox the Shuoer EJ07M. As you can see here, the front of the box, very beautiful photo of the IEM. Also, the name of the IEM and the driver manufacturer, Knowles and Sonyan. On the back of the box, you get some instructions, the frequency response graph, and some extra information on the IEM. On one of the side, as you can see here, the Shuoer EJ07M comes in two different artwork. Mine is the colorful one, of course. Pull up the sleeve to reveal a plain black box with the Shuoer logo in the middle. Open that up and you see the IEM sitting there right inside the box alongside a manual. Under the manual, you'll see an assortment of silicone tips, also foam tips, and a metal case. Now, the metal case itself, I can't lie, I really like it. It feels premium, it looks premium, it's nice and weighted, it's just a really well done case altogether. Inside the case, you're gonna get the cable and cleaning tools. Speaking of the cable, it is a nice cable. It's not an extravagant cable in any way, it's just a nice, comfortable cable. It's not bad. And it's not wowing as well, just a normal cable. Oh, also a little bonus, inside the box you get this passage as well. The value of Shuoer, impulse the emotion. Nice. Hey friends, welcome back to another video on Gist Audio. Now today we have the EJ07M by Shuoer. Now this one is a very interesting IEM. There's really very few IEMs that sounds like this. It has a, I wouldn't want to call it a unique sound, but it has an interesting type tuning alongside how the EST is implemented in this IEM. Now, being that it is $600, it does put it in a very weird place between $700 IEMs that are really good, like the fellow tri-bridge, the Monarch, the Clairvoyance, for example. And below 600 is Variations, Oracle. Those tri-bridges are also really good as well. So this is definitely in a wonky place price-wise, but how does it perform? Let's start off with the bass. Now the bass on here is gonna be quite, it's a strange thing to describe this. There's bass, you feel it, it's there, but it's not really a warm bass. It's kind of like a cleaner type bass. You do feel that kind of mid-bass presence. The sub-bass is there, it's okay, but it's definitely not prominent. The mid-bass here is definitely a more prominent bass region. You do feel it, it's there, but it's kind of overshadowed by something else that we're gonna talk about later in the mid-range. Especially the mid-range timbre kind of overshadows the bass by quite a margin. But all in all, the bass is very clean and it kind of stays in its own region for the most part. It does bleed into the lower mid-range just a touch, but really nothing too noticeable. Just a really nice clean bass. Definitely not enough power to be a bass head IEM. So if you're a bass head looking for a bass head, this is not for you. It's a rather, I wouldn't say neutral bass, but more bass boosted. Moving into the mid-range now, you're gonna get a really clean lower mid-range, so male vocals do come across quite nice. Now with the mid-bass being so close to the lower mid-range, you do feel that the singer and the bass feel kind of close together. Like that area is not really the most well separated one out there. It is nicely separated for the most part, but you do feel that they are closer than some of you guys might like. Like for example, if you like the Moondrop Variations, that one has a very open range sound between the bass and the male vocals. You feel a clean separation. If you like something like that, this is kind of like, I wouldn't say the opposite of that, but I do feel quite a bit closer. So there's not really a super clean line of separation there. Nothing too big or nothing that is a detriment, just saying it's there. Now moving on to the upper mid-range. Now the upper mid-range here comes across quite forward. The female vocals come across nice and clean, crystal clear, and unlike male vocals that can be a little bit closer to bass, the female vocals does come across better, and I enjoy the sense of just separated clarity that comes with female vocals. Now the timbre on here that I mentioned earlier, the timbre on this is just, it's strange. Like it has an EST timbre, which means that it has this kind of a wispiness to it, almost like a dry, cold air type of like wispy feeling to all the frequencies in the upper mid-range here, and female vocals are also included. So it does have this kind of like a dry, almost like a coldish kind of feeling to the timbre as well, just a wispy, dry timbre. And this wispiness is actually so prominent in this IEM, and I think it's more prominent in this IEM than any other tri-Brits I've tried out there. And that timbre kind of overshadows a lot of what's happening in the lower area, at least to my ears anyway. Maybe my ears are a little bit more sensitive to that than some of you guys out there, but yeah, I get a lot of that. Now, it's not a bad sound by any means, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that that is the character of these IEMs. Now, you would have to try it out first to understand what I'm talking about, but once you put it in your ears, you will hear it. The wispiness is just undeniable. Now, some of you may like that. I personally kind of like it. I think it's kind of a unique listening experience. I do enjoy listening to these from time to time, but yeah, it is there and it does overshadow a lot of what's happening in the low end. Now, when it comes to the treble area, the treble here is quite tame, like tamed. Not super dark, but tame. You're not gonna get a lot of treble energy. You're not gonna get a lot of sense of air. And what that really does, and the only thing it hurts this IEM on is gonna be the staging. It feels quite condensed. It doesn't have the sense of air, it doesn't have the sense of width that it should have with good treble energy or with good treble extension. These just feel slightly bit on the tame and dark side. And with that as well, you're gonna lose out on some micro details that are at the tippy top of the treble region. You know, the little percussion hits or the little snares, they're just not gonna feel as sharp or as tactful as it should with IEMs with better treble extension. So that's sadly kind of the bottleneck of these IEMs. Tuning wise, overall tuning, these sound really good. Nicely balanced for the most part. The bass is clean, nicely separated for the most part. The male vocals is nicely done. The female vocals are nice and forward and has flair and has clarity to them. I really like that. The only real letdown and the only thing that bottlenecks the IEM again, tuning wise, is gonna be the treble area. If they can elevate that a little bit, it would just be a really nicely well-balanced IEM. Now, some of you guys out there actually like this type of signature. So those of you who like MANGIRD T, those of you who like maybe the Sense Up, I look at the graph for the Sense Up, and it does kind of have that same kind of tame treble area. Some of you guys really love that. And if you're a fan of the MANGIRD T, if you're a fan of the Sense Up, I mean the treble area of those IEMs, these do graph very similarly. And a lot of people who I've talked to who love the MANGIRD T and have tried this at the same time tend to also really enjoy this. So the signature here is definitely not a bad signature in any way. I think it's just shop up to preference. For me, I want a little bit more treble. I want more treble air, treble extension. I want that stage to be pushed a little bit wider. But for some of you guys out there, the tameness, the kind of relaxing feeling of the treble might just be perfect. So yeah, up to your taste. All right, on to the technical abilities of these IEMs, detail separation, imaging, and soundstage. Let's start out with the detail and separation. Like I said again, the details on these are gonna be hampered by the lower, more tame treble. You're gonna lose some micro details, but not saying that these have no details at all. These have very good details, just short of expectation, just a touch short of what $600 is kind of supposed to deliver to my ears. But the details on here, again, is no slouch. It's gonna beat any IEM $400+. It just falls a slightly bit short of what I want for $600, that's all. Now in terms of imaging. Now the imaging on these are actually quite okay. Yeah, they're all right. They're average. They're nothing too special, but a lot of IEMs are also nothing too special as well. So it's really kind of, you know, it falls right in line with other IEMs, if you will. The imaging on this is just fine. You can tell which direction the instruments are coming from. You can tell somewhat the placement of each instrument. They don't feel like they're overlapping too much, and it doesn't feel too narrow as well. In terms of soundstage, the vastness, the bigness of an IEM, these feel all right. I mean, they live around kind of a little bit outside your head. They're not the widest, but they're not the closest either. Again, due to that treble extension, the lack of treble air really hampers the wide feeling that these IEM could have had in a way. So kind of what could have been. But at the end of the day, it's just fine. Imaging and soundstage being average is pretty normal for a lot of IEMs out there, so nothing to really fault here. All right, on to the final verdict. So what do I think about this? For $600, I think it is a solid IEM. that you can definitely grab if you're into signatures like this. If you're into MANGIRD T, you like how the treble is done there, then you might like how the treble is done here, and these might be the next upgrade for you. Now, for those of you who like more treble extension, more treble air, I would say stay away from this. This is just not for you. And the EST type of timbre, the wispiness in the EST is not gonna be for everyone. You kind of have to hear it to kind of see if you like it or not. Personally, like I said again, I like it. It's just a unique experience altogether, and it gives us kind of like a dryness that I really kind of gravitate towards. It just feels different. It feels nice. I kind of like that. But yeah, not everyone's gonna like that. So I would say if you can try to find a demo unit of this, I would say demo it first. So in summary for me, just to have a really nice, easy closing thought, I can see a lot of people loving this. But I can also see some people not really caring too much about it. But I can't see anyone outright hating it. This is just a solid IEM with great detail retrieval and a really nice tuning. A lot of people are either gonna really enjoy this or just neutral about it. It's not at all a bad IEM in any way. It's just, it has its own type of tuning that can fit for a specific crowd, if you will. All right, guys, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. For a comparison of the EJ07M with other tri-bridge IEMs, I will make a separate video on that because that is a whole topic in itself that requires its own video. And yeah, stay tuned for that. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to join our Facebook group, link below. You see this video early. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Bye.